Hey, this is Notser, and we're taking a look at 7.8. We're going to look at the Alaska and Terrible. I can't play them, but I can talk about the stats and the appearance in game. But also, with 7.8 on the public test server, UI scaling has been implemented, and holy crap, thank you, finally. I have wanted UI scaling for so long. I wanted it since day one, and it's finally here. There's a new option under graphics. Increase UI scale. Now this is in 1440p, so this is probably what you're used to. 4K users, you have an even worse time with the game. It's microscopic, all the UI elements, but not any longer in 7.8, my friends. You can go in and define exactly what scale you want. If I want to have the game running at 169% UI scaling, I can do it, and everyone will have to suffer through the giant UI elements. Obviously, I wouldn't do that for my content, but you can do whatever you want. If you press this define button, it will define the UI as an appropriate scale reminiscent of 1080p. If you ever played the game at 1080p, or continue to play the game at 1080p, you know that this is the scale the UI is presented at, and that is what Wargaming feels is appropriate and will automatically dial it in if you press that define button, no matter the resolution you have. For some of you, this is a godsend. For others, it's not really appropriate. You don't really care. You play at 1080p, nothing's changed, but plus or minus 1080p, 4K, 1440p, and then the super small ones like 480p and 720p, everyone appreciates this. So thank you, Wargaming. Now let's talk about the Alaska. Super excited. I'm an American, and it's also a tier 9 super heavy cruiser for the American that use 305mm guns. Health is reminiscent of a battleship because it's pretty big, like a battleship. Now it doesn't look exactly like an Iowa or a Missouri or a North Carolina or a Montana, but it is in the same family. It does have this really awkwardly large gap in the superstructure, so I'm sure aiming at this target, your normal aim, if you aim for the center of the ship, well, guess what? The center of the ship has a giant hole in it, so you'll have to compensate for that. It's got 9 305mm guns. It has 127mm secondary guns with a base range of 5 kilometers, so this is not a secondary ship. Barely any torpedo protection whatsoever. 16%. I mean, that's like nothing. Concealment, fully concealed with all modules, skills, camo, 12.4. The base concealment before all of that is calculated is 16.2. So it's not very concealed. It has the opportunity to decide if it wants to use radar or not. The choices are defensive fire versus hydro, scout, catapult, fighter, or surveillance radar, and then heal. So I'm probably going to go a build similar to this. I think it's very obvious that the A defense is very weak on this ship. It's tier 9 and only has 68 rating. And look at the long range guns, 91 damage per second. Not very good at all. You really rely on your short and medium range, and you can't really buff that as much as you can the 127s, so keep that in mind. Speed, 33 knots, very reminiscent of the Iowa and the Missouri. 850-meter turn radius. It's completely usable, no issue with that. Rudder Shift, 13.8, default. If I were to invest in, faster rudder, well, we could get it pretty fast because it's a cruiser, so I could choose, oh, I don't want a conceal build, I want a full cruiser build because Wargaming lets me, so I could get it down to 6.6. Might be kind of hilarious to see a ship this large turning like that, but it's your choice. So that's really cool. Anything else I want to touch on? Oh yeah, they don't have the premium camo in-game yet. We don't know what that looks like. These are all like the default camo, so don't read too much into it. Armor-wise, we've got 120. We have 27mm bow and stern. The deck armor maxes out at 32mm. Top of the deck is 28 because they want to be different than from 27. I don't know if that's just a funny coincidence that it's so close, but yet it's not exactly. The waterline has pretty good armor, 229 millimeter, 178 millimeter. If I take away the armor and you can check out the Citadel, well, it's deep inside. So long range to medium range is going to be where it's vulnerable to Citadel. Otherwise, not really. Alaska, super excited, can't wait. I believe this will be a free XP ship and or arsenal, and it should have appropriate credit earning potential, reminiscent of Kronstadt, Musashi, and Jean Bart. Definitely don't look at this and compare the credit potential to the Missouri. That was an anomaly, and they will never, ever, ever do that. So if you really like your Missouri, you're probably really going to like your Missouri with thousands of Tier 9 premiums if they ever get to that state. It's just never going to be that good. But it's going to be better than Tier 8, and you should appreciate that, all of you who can't enjoy the Missouri. The other premium that will be introduced at some point in 7.8 is Le Terran Buddha. This is going to be a Tier 8 French DD, and I'm so excited. I love DDs. I loved the French, the Eagle, the Tier 6. It required a very specific build to function correctly. The turret traverse. Yes, turret traverse is still just as bad on this ship. You will have to invest in expert marksman, but what you're getting, 139 millimeter guns, really fast closing speed, 43 knots, and it has the French speed boost, so it's gonna go so fast. You will absolutely be outrun by this. It also has that new main battery reload booster module, or consumable, sorry. You can't choose between any other consumable in these slots though, so just keep in mind, you've got smoke, you've got speed boost, you've got reload, which is really cool. Max conceal 7.1. Its base concealment without having anything on it is something in the realm of 9, which is not good, but it's better than the Soviets. So 7.1, I can use that with this closing speed, this turn circle, and the rudder shift. I could actually get in on an enemy and totally wipe them out, I think, in the time that my consumable would be on. 10 seconds, 75% reload on the guns. Base reload is 7 seconds, so really fast. Concealment almost ideal, not quite. Your torpedoes are actually usable, 2 kilometers, which is really nice. And it's 3x3, so let's see where their torpedoes are. We got 1. Oh, okay. So look at this. It's got 1 neutral torpedo, and then it's got a torpedo on its port and a torpedo on its starboard. So it honestly can only use 6 torpedoes per side. It could conceivably turn around though, and you could use the other 3, but how often do you actually use that? Not very often. No AA defense whatsoever, so aircraft carriers are just going to hover over it. Oh, it's so pathetic. Wow, the AA defense on this is so pathetic. I didn't realize it was that bad. Okay, aircraft carriers, just hover over this and keep it spotted for your team if you're ever by it. It's really bad, but I like everything else. I'm really excited. Great health. You can invest more in it. You will have to pick up expert marksman. I don't think advanced firing training is going to be appropriate for this ship. Hopefully inertia fuse high explosive was fixed completely, so 139 only takes away 1%. We get 10% fire chance base. Wow, you could set a ton of fires with this. You could get up to 13%. Your reload is not ideal, but you've got 5 guns. That is pretty insane. I'm just really excited for the French. I think they're going to be really fun. I think the style that they've created a blueprint for is compelling, and I can't wait to actually play them. I hope that this was really enjoyable for you. I can't wait for the UI scaling. I can't wait for the Alaska. I can't wait to play Le Terran Buddha. Let me know what you think. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.